Okay, everybody, welcome to our weekly Team Ignite training webinar. Today we are going to be talking about the invitation process, and we have Kristen Goodman on the line with us, my fabulous upline, who is the master of marketing and inviting people to events. So I thought we would have her start the call off. She has to take off in just a little while. So she's going to go to the airport to pick up her mom so that we can go off on our incentive trip cruise this weekend, which we're so excited about. So, all right, we are going to have her go first, talking about marketing yourself, how you can market the business, and then I'm going to go through the steps of the invitation process. You can't see the screen, can you, Kristen?
No, I can't see it yet. I can see your main screen, but not my slide or whatever you were doing. I don't see it yet.
Yeah, I have your slide up. Can you guys see it? Nobody can see it? Oh, fantastic. Okay, let's see. Can you guys see the screen now?
There we go. Yep. I can see where it says your Team Ignite weekly training.
Yeah, I don't know why it wasn't showing my screen, but there's the agenda, really short, sweet, and simple. And then here you go, Kristen. There's your first slide.
Okay. So I'm excited to be on your team call today, so thanks for having me come on. And Anna always makes me laugh because she says I'm the guru of marketing, but I really don't feel like I'm that. I just feel like I just like to talk, and I like people, and I just like to share about what I'm doing. So I just like, and I think too, a lot of you guys do events, and most of us came in from the photo side. And so what I always tell people too is my focus is still photo, and then I'll say, but I have other things to offer here with Youngevity. And then of course the question is, well, what is that, you know? So what I've been doing is I've been doing some smaller events at my house, and I do an annual event like Anna just did over the weekend in the fall, and so I shared it there. But at Christmas time, what I did is I incorporated a stocking stuffer party with some photo stuff at the same time. So I said if you kind of share what you love where you're loving it. So again, I love the photo stuff just like you do, but I'm sprinkling in some extra things, you know, and some things that I like over here at either Heritage Makers or with Youngevity products. So for my stocking stuffer party, I think a lot of you guys seen some of that. Is a lot of us made the candy with the names and different things, but then at my event that day when I had people over, I also had a diffuser going with some oil in it. And then people were asking about that. So then I said, well, we're going to make some peppermint sugar scrub with that. So we did that. So again, it's just kind of incorporating other things, you know, again, like what you love, where you're loving it. So again, having people over. So if you're doing a workshop or a crop or something like that, just add something that you like. So that's the main thing, something that you feel comfortable talking about, something that you're enjoying, a product that you like, a testimony that you have. So I said add a make and take with oils. Like that's one of the first things we did at Anna's event last year when we were introduced to Youngevity, and that really made my love of the oil start happening there. The makeup, I love like a moisturizer. Just have a bottle of the moisturizer or like one of those enzyme peels. That's really something kind of fun to like put on somebody's hand to just see how like all your dead skin cells come off, and then using some of that product. I mean, I love that product. That's really nice. Or just share one of the drink packets. So some of those boxes, that's a great thing to have, you know, just put with a water bottle or whatever, which I know a lot of this is probably things you guys have tried, but that's really just sprinkling it into my business in different areas. That's just a few things like this. That's made people ask about things and purchase things, and then become, you know, one of my distributors or a preferred customer. So I like that part. The next one. And then find groups that you fit into. So I quit my full-time job. Madison's going to be 11. When she was almost a year old, she had brain surgery. And that's when I quit my full-time job to do my Creative Memories business full-time. But I still wanted to meet people. I just didn't want to be at home and be a homebody type person. And I was invited to a MOPS group.
As if you could ever be that. Sorry,
I know.
As if you could ever be that.
I know, right? I know. But I was invited to MOPS first, and then I was still trying to work my business, you know, too. And so then somebody invited me to a women's networking group, and it was all women, you know, but there's lots of groups out there, and especially now I feel like we fit into groups more where there's men and women, right? Do scrapbooking, but I think, too, you got to find where you fit. And so I like to say, like, where you you go and you interview some of these groups too. So, you know, some groups are women only, some are men and women, some meet during the day, some meet at night. Some may meet early in the morning. I know some B&I groups meet at like 7:30 in the morning, you know, so depending on what your schedule is or if you have kids at home or whatever, you know, there has to be a group out there that you can fit into. And then when you get there, you know, I want to always say too, like, I don't feel like I'm pushy. I always feel like, you know, I try to be friendly with people and not push a sale onto them, but they're wanting to know what is it that you do, you know, so you kind of have to know your 30-second commercial or how you're going to share it with these people, but also know your audience. So when you go to that networking group that you're going to test out, which I know you guys all will after this call, right? You got to figure out, you know, what type of people are there. Are they all professional people? Are they doctors, lawyers, just regular business people in your area? I know I was part of ABWA, which is American Business Women's Association, and those are all very professional women. And I love that because I feel like I'm a professional woman, but at the same time, I didn't feel like I clicked with that group. So I left that group and I went to another group. So just know that, you know, you need to go figure out where you fit in. And it's not always where you have a friend. You know, a lot of times, yeah, it's great to ask some of your friends that are in groups, but, you know, just kind of go and check it out for yourself. And then also, you know, you still have that group of your circle of influence of people, like where you volunteer, your mom buddies, your friends. Like, I'm very passionate about the Make-A-Wish Foundation, and I've been doing things to talk to people because they're just going to, what do you do? I mean, you just kind of have to be yourself and share that with them and not always feel like, you know, you're pushing your business information onto them, but they are asking you, right? And we have a great opportunity. So, and then your mom buddies are just like people you do sports with. Like, I know Anna does a lot of stuff with the boys with football, and she's, you know, made some of the albums and different things. But her kids drink Rebound, so now she shared Rebound, I'm sure, with lots of people. And, you know, so different parts of your business, you're going to be able to introduce that to these different people in a different way. And then what's the next one? And then be yourself. I mean, I think that is the main thing. You know, like, I like to talk to people just like I'm talking to you now. And I always feel like, you know, whenever I meet somebody new, they're not a stranger by the time they walk away from me. I mean, I like to build relationships with people. I don't like to have like a formal or fancy script that I'm going to say, you know, this is exactly what I say, how I do it. I just don't. I just share from my heart, and I take interest in people. And I know I'm a big talker. You guys know me as that anyway. But I've really tried to be a better listener, too, because before I would really do all the talking and not really do the listening. And I've learned, too, that if they're asking me a question, then I try to turn around and ask more questions, too, to get to know them, to get to know, you know, what their needs are in the health part now that since we have so much healthy products from Youngevity, it's kind of nice, and people like to share things like what they're going through. And if we don't know something about a product, you know, we're going to go find it for them. And I'm excited on my Facebook page today. One of my gals that I met through scrapbooking just wrote how her migraines are gone. But when somebody had posted a while ago about how the 90 for Life had helped their migraines, I shared that with her. And so she posted in my Facebook group today how she has not had a migraine. And that just gives me goosebumps saying it out loud, because there's another gal on my team from Colorado, Megan, that she has migraines. So I just connected them like, oh, my gosh, you got to tell Megan now what you're doing. And June Murphy shared it with somebody. So it's just kind of crazy how we started out here at the photo thing, and then now we've learned a little bit of things in the different groups that we're in, and just from talking to people and listening to people and connecting them. So I'm really excited that I have a really cool testimony now of somebody that's on my team that this has really helped too. And I'm sure that you guys do as well. So, but again, I think if we just share from our hearts and talk about what we know, we don't have to know everything, because there are so many things here to know. And I'm one of them that I don't feel like there's no way I can know everything here. But with helping each other and just being ourselves, and hey, let me get back to you on that, and I'll try to find out some more information. It's just another way to connect with that person, to follow up with that person. So I think that's good too.
Awesome, Kristen. Thank you so much for being on this call. I know we haven't been doing a lot of things together recently, but we're going to start doing that more in 2015 so that we can kind of work together again, because we both have very different skill sets and we complement each other so nicely. So
we do.
That's
I love that.
Yeah, me too. So you can expect you guys to hear more from us together on things going into the future. I don't know what yet, but we'll figure it out as we go. But thank you, Kristen. It was awesome, and I hope you guys take to heart what she said about just, being social, being connected to different groups and sharing from your heart. And this is kind of a little bit out of order because really the invitation process kind of comes before what Kristen was sharing, but I wanted to get her in before she has to hop off and get on to pick up her mom from the airport. So kind of flip your brain to what you would do before you actually start getting into all of these groups now. And Kristen, I know you have to leave whenever you have to hop off. Just, hop off. But
Okay.
if you're on and you want to interject, feel free.
Okay. I'll stay on for a few minutes. Yep. I got to leave about 1:30.
Okay.
So.
Oh, okay, perfect. So we're going to talk about the invitation process. And I don't know if you guys have seen Keith Howe's business wheel, but this is kind of the second step in that wheel. We talked last week about the contacts and the referrals being step one, and then inviting those people is step two. So once you have your list of 100, what do you do with that list? And the most important part right now of the business wheel, not right now, but always of the business wheel, is that invitation process. Because if you can't invite people in a successful way to get them to come to your thing, then you don't have a chance of selling product or the business. So that's what we're going to talk about today, is making an invitation. The opportunity meetings are going to be for those business builders. The workshops, the crafts, the parties, and all of that are going to be for the product users. Our group does tend to be much more product user focused, which is totally fine because, here on the next slide, the product users eventually almost all become business builders. But we need both of these people on our team. We absolutely do. And when we first came in here a year ago, I know we were pushing really hard for all the business builders, but that's because we had a really unique opportunity with our previous company closing. But now in 2015, pretty much everybody that was going to come from that company that was a business builder has already come over. So now our job is to find new business builders, whether they're in the photos or in the nutrition or the jewelry or whatever it is. We're looking for those business builders, but we're also looking for product users. So this year our focus is really more like what it was for the past 10 years. It's just building our business with fresh new contacts, not from a pool of people that are running to look for a new job, if that makes sense. So that group of business builders, you're going to send invitations to them to come to like a training event like the one that I just had, the Super Saturday. That's something that a business builder might want to come to so that they can learn a little bit about the business and then they sign up to join your team. A coaching meeting where we might have just a little team meeting at our house that we're going to do some one-on-one coaching, and you're going to bring them along so that they can see what our group is all about. And obviously just regular business opportunity meetings, anything like that, even the online one. Absolutely, you could invite somebody to watch that. Then the thing that I want you to keep in mind with the business builders is those count in your structure and they count in your volume. So obviously this is the best place to really build your team, but it's not the only place to help you. Because the product users, they're going to count in your volume too. And eventually most of those product users turn into business builders given time and exposure. So they're going to come in because they love the 90 for Life product and they found results with it. Or they're not sure if they found results, but they love the product enough that they want to try it out on a few more people before they're ready to really take the plunge. Or maybe they like the fashion and jewelry, but they're not sure that they really want to run a business with it. But after they realize that 20 of their friends want the same dress that they're wearing, then they think, maybe I can run a business with it. So a lot of times those product users do become business builders the more time that they're in it and the longer they're exposed to their messages that we're sending. One of the things that I just have to throw out here is at the event that I had this weekend, we have a lot of repeat people that come to the scrapbook weekend. It's our fifth one. A lot of people come back. And last year, many of the people did not go to the Youngevity presentation. And they have consistently told me for a year that they're not interested in that part of the business. They just want to stick with the Heritage Makers, Our Memories for Life. So I've never pushed, whatever they want to do, they can stay with that. And at this event afterwards, that had told me for the last year that they wanted nothing to do with that part of the business, asking me for flyers and pamphlets about the Healthy Body Challenge, about weight loss systems, about how they can get on 90 for Life, Teeny Tangerine. So I know that with enough time and exposure, many, many, many product users are going to switch over to business builders and to some of these different product lines because we're getting results. We have amazing testimonials now building up on our teams. So the invitations, though, that you're going to be sending those product users look a little different than the invitation you're going to send a business builder. If you are sending a product user, somebody that just wants to play around with their photos, an invitation to make $10,000 a year, or sorry, $10,000 a month, they probably aren't going to get excited about that. But if you're sending them an invitation to learn how to make a calendar, that might be something that excites them, and vice versa. If you're sending somebody who tells you that they want to figure out how to make this a full-time job, make him take workshop invitations, they're going to be like, yeah, okay, I get that, but those are like $10 items. I want to figure out how to find people that want to buy CEO Mega Pack. So you really have to know that there's two different distinct types of invitations that you're sending and know how to talk to each of those groups. So how do you figure out who's who and which group you're going to send the invitation to? You're going to look for clues when you're talking to them, in their life that are causing them, some hardships. Maybe they have some college tuition that has come up, or braces, or some other large expense that they had to pay for. So maybe you see that they had to help an elderly parent with expenses. That's a really common one, that things that come up that were unexpected. Have they told you that maybe they want a career change? That's something that a lot of times we listen when our friends tell us, but we don't even think to offer them what we have. There's somebody sitting around, and it's a dinner table that's over hanging out with you. Maybe they're over for the weekend to watch a football game or whatever, and the husband and the wife are both saying how much they hate their jobs and they want to do something different with their lives, and you just sit back and don't even offer or say anything. But those are clues, that maybe they're going to be interested in hearing something. Or you heard them say that they want to be a stay-at-home mom or dad. So many of the moms out there that are working the grind, they don't want to do that anymore. Then this is a prime time for them because they just came off of the Christmas holiday, and I've heard it so many more from my mommy friends that are like, oh, in Michigan, of course, it's 7 degrees outside today, and they're cold, and they're getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning to drop their kids off at daycare, and they just were home with their kids for 2 weeks over the holidays and got a taste of what it would be like to be that stay-at-home mom. So now it's running through their heads, like, is there something else that I could do? So those are some clues and some things that you could maybe send them a business builder invitation. Very long to do it. I just listed them on here, but we're going to go through them one at a time. The first step is that your invitation shouldn't be longer than 30 seconds. In fact, it probably is only like 10 or 15 seconds. You want it to be brief and to the point. If they have to solve something complicated in their brains to even think about coming to whatever you're inviting them to, they're going to pass. So it has to be something that's going to pique their interest, but you don't want to give away everything. So you don't have to throw up on them and give them too many details about it, whether it be the workshop, whether it be the crop, whether it be the business meeting, whatever it is. You want it to be brief and to the point, get them excited, make them want to know more, and I highly, highly, highly encourage you to know that audience before you start to talk so that you aren't just saying the same thing to everybody. You have to have sort of a script that's going to be what we're going to talk about the rest of this, but you have to have one that's modifiable, as you're having that conversation, so that when you're in a group, if there's 4 different people in the group and one person wants to hear one type of invitation and the other 3 want to hear the other, that you're able to say, well, I have this event, and let me explain it to you, and then you talk to the group of 3, but then I have this other event, and then you were able to explain it to the person that maybe wants to hear about the other side. So really know your audience before you talk, because that could be something that could hurt you if you're spewing information about income opportunities to somebody that is perfectly happy in their job and really just wanted to know how to make some hand soap with the essential oils, and you just turned them off from coming because they think you're going to be pushing the business at them. Where instead, if they come to make the hand soaps and you're sprinkling in the business gently, they might come to you and ask you about the business. More than likely they will, and maybe not that first time, maybe not the time that they're making the soaps, but 3 or 4 exposures, and they're going to, especially like we talked about those clues where somebody says, so-and-so lost, I lost my job, or this person's husband lost their job, or you know that somebody wants to stay at home with their kids, or they have the expense of college, so that you can kind of take the invitation and sort of modify it slightly so that it will fit into their category. So if you know that they're looking to just, let's say that they love their job and they're really close to retiring, and in the next 3 years that's what their plan is, so they're obviously not going to quit working right now if they've worked 27 years and they have 3 years left. But this might be something that they could come into and work part-time until they're ready to retire, and then it can become their full-time position. Whereas when you're talking to somebody younger that's just gotten into the workforce and they haven't really settled into something, you might have a slightly different conversation where they can make this be quickly their full-time job type of thing. Don't just wing it though. You really have to think it through ahead of time. Kristen and I have been doing this a really long time, so a lot of times it might sound like, oh, they don't practice, they don't have this written down. But 10 years ago or 12 years ago when we started, we did have to write something down, or else we would have done the exact same thing. And yes, now we're able to do it out of our heads a little bit more because we've practiced so much, and we've said these things over and over and over and over and over, hundreds, thousands of times. But when you're new or when you're restarting your business, you do have to really think through what your invitation are. So the most important thing that you're going to do is to get them to an event. Obviously, products are one of them, and the business opportunity is another one. The health and the training are, two more things that, and when I say training, it's more like make and takes. Like, we're going to train you how to use the oils to do hand soaps. So it's more like workshop type thing, or we're going to show you how to make calendars, or we are going to teach you how to dress to fit your lifestyle, or something like that, where it's training on a specific thing or a workshop. And then, really, honest to goodness, out of all of these things on here, your excitement and your passion is the number one thing that's going to get them to an event. There's been times where I think, like, that was the worst invitation I've ever made to anybody in my life when I'm talking, but they just look at me and they're like, oh my gosh, you're so excited about whatever you're talking about. I don't even know what you're talking about, and I want to come just because you're spewing with excitement. So sometimes, just being passionate about something is the main component in getting somebody to your event. So think about that when you're inviting. Then the third thing is writing it out. And like I said, once you've been doing this for a long time, you're obviously not going to have the script in your back pocket. But at first, it really, really helps, especially if you're making phone calls, to have it. Obviously, like I said, you're not going to read it. When you're new, you have to have it there to practice. And you have to think about which words sound like you. So you don't want to wing it. You want to think it through in your head, like we talked about. Write it down so that you can articulate what you want to say. And you'll be able to deal with time where you're just talking. But at first, you want to have something written so that you can practice. Really take your time for this stuff. It's really important. Scratch the stuff out, write it again, keep on working with it. You need to have this so that you have a consistent message to practice with. And soon you'll be getting like keywords that are in your vocabulary, and it just rolls off your tongue, where there's certain people that you meet that oh, this is the thing I need to say to them. And different people, it just rolls off your tongue because you've practiced it so many times. The fourth step, obviously, is to practice it once you've written it out. And I can't even repeat enough how many times you need to practice it. Read it out loud, read it to your family, read it to your friends, ask for a guinea pig. I used to do this a lot when I first started. We'd be sitting at lunch and I'd ask one of my friends, what, I know you don't want to do anything with your photos, but I have got to get this invitation down so that I can get this business working. Can you help me out and just listen and tell me if I sound like a fool? Or tell me if it sounds like me, or tell me what you think, is this good, is it not good? And especially when your friends and your family know that you're not trying to sell them something, they will be great critics to tell you, oh, that didn't sound like something that would have rolled off your tongue. That sounded, like you copied that off of somebody else's speech. They'll be great at telling you that stuff. So practice it, practice it, practice it. And it gets better and better and smoother, easier to roll off your tongue with each time that you practice. The other thing I used to do, and this sounds really silly, but when the kids were really little, I would be driving in a car, and they didn't even, they were like 18 months old, 6 months old, and I would just be talking in the car in the front seat, and they just heard my voice, but just saying the invitation or reading, say it in the mirror, say it when you're driving, just keep on practicing. Then this is, like I said, these are all cheap things, and this is something that I never did because we didn't have smartphones when I started in this business, but I think it's something that is a great tool. You suggested filming yourself. So film yourself using your phone or another device, so that you could see what you look like. Make eye contact. Are you doing it? Is somebody filming you? Are you fidgeting? Are you chewing gum? Are you watching for nervous habits? So watch yourself. Sometimes it's pretty brutal. We were just at this weekend. I thought it was hilarious. I don't know if Andrea is on this call listening or not, but when we were sitting down with Tom Schmelt and he was talking, and he was teaching her how to do the coffee shop conversation, and she had gum in her mouth, and he stuck his hand out, and she had no idea what he was doing, but it was to tell her, like, get rid of your gum. I am just terrible for this. I'm always chewing gum. So that was just a reminder that, when you're trying to articulate something to somebody, you don't want to have gum in your mouth. You don't want to have, nervous habits, or you're fidgeting, or, you just don't know what to do with your hands. You want to just look comfortable. So if you film yourself, I'm sure that you're going to see, especially because you're filming yourself, you'll be a little bit even more self-conscious. So you can be aware of, like, oh, look at that. I stick my hair behind my ear 47 times in the 30 seconds that I said that invitation. Maybe I should try to do something else with my hands. So do that, and then you'll get a good idea of where you need to practice. And then here's the question. When you look at this, would you say yes to yourself? Spouse, would they say yes to that invitation? Actually ask somebody like, my sister's the worst critic ever of me, so I would show it to her and say, what do you think? And if she rolled her eyes, I would know, like, okay, what do I need to work on? And if you wouldn't say yes, it's time to do an edit and repeat. And the first couple times, you're going to have to do some serious edits because you're going to be stuttering and stammering and nervous. But after a while, it's just going to be minor tweaks. And something else to keep in mind with this invitation process is that it isn't something that ever is static and like, oh, it's perfect, I never have to change it again. You know, over time, we add new products into our repertoire. We add new business systems. We change the way we're doing things. You know, 12 years ago when we came into this business, we didn't text people. We barely even had cell phones. You know, and now we're inviting people via text. So things are going to be a little different when you text them than they were with how we used to just pick up the old phone. It wasn't even a cell phone. You wouldn't dare call people on the cell phone because it cost them minutes to call them on their cell phone. You know, so this process changes, and like I said, we didn't have a way to film ourselves then, but it's a great idea to do that now. So just know that you're going to be tweaking this for the rest of your life if this is the business that you're in. And now step 7 is you are going to need to revise. And you know, that's just what we were talking about. You revise if needed, and at first you're going to need to revise a lot. You know, you're not going to get it. That's a learning experience. You might have it down. You might have said the right thing to the last 50 people you talk to, and you have a bad day, your head's in the clouds, you go, oh, this is a great contact, I really want to invite them, and you choke when you go to invite them, and you think, well, what did I just do? It's just life, and you're going to get another opportunity, and if you don't, there's lots of other people that have opportunities. So just know it just comes more and more practice, and you'll get better at it. And think about when you're editing yourself, you know, when you're critiquing yourself, think about what things you liked that you said that you really want to repeat. And for me, sometimes I think about just key words that I thought, oh, that's a good word, I like to use that word. Or phrases that you think, it really doesn't matter how that phrase comes out in the sentence, but I want to touch on that phrase. So, you know, for me, healthy lifestyles is something that I'm really using in a lot of my conversations. So I used to be the photo person. In fact, when we went in for this weekend, I had Jan McCallum came with me up to the ski resort, and we were meeting with some different people up there. You know, I was dropping my kids off, and I was bumping into people here and there, and I met one person, and her daughter came up and said something like, who's this? And she's like, oh, don't you remember? This was the photo lady. She's the person that made all those photo books. And I just had to smile because I had said for so many years, you know, I'm the photo lady, I help you with your photos. And now I'm trying to change that in my repertoire, and I'm trying to change the way that I talk to people to say, you know, I'm somebody who's, you know, trying to represent a healthy lifestyle, so I'm here to show you all of these different things to help you to have. We want to help people all around with their healthy lifestyles, but a trigger point for me and something that I can relate to and I have stories about, and it's easy for me to invite, is about weight loss, because that's a challenge that I'm dealing with. So you find those things that you're comfortable talking about, and those are the conversation starters and the ways that you can open conversations up to people in a way that you don't have to know every single product and every single thing that's in every single product. You know, what you do is you take these key pieces that you're comfortable with, and then when you bring them in for an event, you have other people that are there with you during the event that know those other products. That's why we're a team, and we all work together. So everybody can help each other, and we don't have to be the expert on everything. So again, when you're critiquing yourself and you find those words that you do like, what about, you know, what didn't sound like it should have come out of your mouth? Because there's always times when we're writing down our invitation process that we hear something that somebody else said and we try to say it and it just doesn't sound like us. So when you're talking and you hear it back at you and you think, oh, there's no way that I was a little bit, so it does sound like something you would say. I have tried many, many times to incorporate pieces of other, you know, really great invitations into my process, and when I write it out, I actually use the way that I would say it. I actually write it with incorrect grammar because everybody, for those of you that have been on my team forever, you know that I am so terribly spelling challenged and grammar challenged. I mean, that is just not my thing. And I know that people would think that if I was speaking in perfect grammatically correct sentences, they would know that I was reading it from a script because I don't talk like that. So just think about those things that you don't say and revise those out, and then think about what's missing and what you need to add into that invitation that would really spark somebody's interest to hear more about the product or to hear more about the business. And we talked about this in the beginning of the webinar. One of the most important things, passion and sharing sincerity from the heart. You know, you have to have this be sincere and from your heart because nobody's going to believe you. You're not going to believe yourself if you don't, if it's not really coming from the inside of you. It's really the most important part. Do you really have something that you think you can help this person with, and do you genuinely want to share something with them, not for you. I hear this all the time, and in our past business, this was something that we would often forget about, I think, is that try to find 4 more people to join our business, regardless if it was the right thing for them. We didn't even care. We were just, hey, you know what, just join the business. You don't have to do anything, just join the business, because we wanted to earn an incentive for ourselves. But the one thing that I have found in Youngevity that I genuinely love about them is that I never have to feel like that, because there is something for everybody that I really feel like can help them in this business. And the way that the model is set up, they don't have to plug in and recruit 500 people. They have to plug in and get healthy. That's what we're focused on, is finding something for them to get healthy. So it's so easy to have conversations with people because everybody you talk to is constantly telling you about something that's wrong with them. It's unbelievable now that I'm opening up my ears. Everybody has something wrong with them, from the young to the old, to the men, to the women. It doesn't matter. They all have something that they're trying to overcome. And like I told you guys earlier, for me, the weight loss is a huge challenge, and something that I think 35 to 55-year-old women talk about maybe like 700 times a day in conversations with each other, because we're constantly, just smelling chicken nuggets with our kids, or goldfish crackers, or you're, at somebody's house for dinner and they're offering you a homemade apple pie, or you're trying to be, at work and make a healthy choice and your coworkers brought in muffins for breakfast. So it's just something that people talk about a ton. So it's a great opportunity to slide that into conversations where you genuinely do have something that can help them, that can, give them some inspiration, some motivation, to help their lifestyle. And even if they do join, they're not going to be, sticking with you and sticking by your side forever. I have been so blessed in this business to have so many really, really, really wonderful, great friends that are with me, that we can, lock arms and work together. And I'm just anxious to continue to do that with more people, but we're real. So I really encourage you to make sure you put that in the forefront of your mind as well. And we talked about this a lot already, but just one more time I'm going to say it, is take the concepts from other great leaders and write them down in your invite, but never use their exact words, because it won't sound like you. So think about the concepts and then turn it around so that it's your word. And the last step in the invitation process is that you want to invite 5 people every day if possible. That is the 5x5 marketing system that Youngevity's created. Is 5 contacts 5 days a week. And if you're able to invite 5 people a day from your contact list in some way to get to an event, then you're going to have the greatest chance for success, because many of those people won't be able to come this week, but they might be able to come next week. So in order to invite 5 people a day, and she was my inspiration to put these out there. I don't know if she's on the call, but we talked about doing an event, and I don't have it scheduled yet, but we're going to try to get this, and we'll try to do it Ustream so that you guys can invite people from all over the place. But we're looking at January 29th to do something with photo organization, so that people can learn how to get their photos organized in the Heritage Makers Cloud space. And we're going to talk about some different just challenges and techniques and things that you can do with your photos. And then we are going to also schedule something for February 2nd with weight loss. So another event around weight loss, where we're going to probably try to do something around the Biggest Loser type thing for our potential customers and new business builders that would like to join us. So I will have more details on those 2 dates, but I just wanted to share them with you right now, so that those are something that you can start thinking about, put on your calendar. But if you have events that you would be interested in sharing with the team that they can come to, you'll post them out on one of our Facebook pages. We have many of them. You can put them out on Team Ignite, Team Fusion, even out on the Youngevity page if you would like to invite more people to the event. And don't forget, you can invite by phone, you can invite by email or text, but you have to make it be something personal. And you can invite in person, or anyway, just don't do the mass mailings or the email blasts, because those are never successful. I mean, 1/1/4% of the people respond to no, they hear about the invitation and they might want to come to an event, but I'm talking about when you're inviting new people to hear about something. Those are, it has to be personal. So I'm not saying don't send it out in an email, just make sure that it's a personal email and that you can follow up with either a phone call or a text or an in-person conversation. People want to know that you care about them and not just your business first. That you're not calling them because you want to sell them something or because you want them to join something. They want to know that you're contacting them because you really want to hear about their life, and you want to talk to them about what's happening in with their family, with their kids, with their spouse, with their work or whatever it is. So you really have to focus on it being something personal for them first. So those are the 9 steps of the invitation process. And here is the website for Keith Halls. It's www.ourglobalsuccessteam.com. and that's his website, and he has some great Google Hangouts. He's got a lot of great training. He's been in the industry for 30-plus years, so he has done this, and he knows all of the tips and tricks. So he's got a lot of training out there. Like I said, he's got the Google Hangouts. He's got, I think he has some PowerPoints up there as well. But you can go out to that website. You can sign up for their newsletter, and we are part of his organization. So he is our up line. I don't even know how many levels up, but he's up there as one of our uplines. So I highly recommend that you go to that site and just kind of poke around and check the Ignite page. But he used to be, you know, a CPA for a while there, and he was the CFO of Nu Skin, so he has a ton of experience with this. So he's doing a tax webinar for us so that we can close out our 2014 year. So that's another thing that I would highly recommend, that those of you that are on here can pop on that call. So I am going to stop the recording, and then I'll open it up for any questions if you all have any questions. So let me go over here and stop it, and thank you all.